The following review is intended for entertainment purposes and targeted for adult fans of the series.
6328! Woo! Hello there, heroes! I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another comically long review. It's time for part 2 of the November 4th twofer, as we've reached the middle of Marvel's Ultraman Mini. Ultraman Mini is a funny contradiction when you think about it. Anyway, we're getting into that good conspiracy stuff now, as Shin and Kiki have realized that the USP may not actually be working for the greater good. And Kiki has even tracked down the requisite nutcase hermit who knows everything. And hey, might issue 3 be the issue when we actually get to see Ultraman be, well, Ultraman? Well, let's find out by taking a look at Marvel's The Rise of Ultraman issue number 3.
Please make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you can see all of our videos.
Yeah, and make sure you got your notifications set up by hitting that little bell icon so you get notified whenever we post any brand new videos.
Right you. What he said was that if you'd like to support the channel in any way financially, you can consider checking us out on Patreon or Ko-fi at Orange Ranger Videos. Right you.
The main cover... Okay, this brings me to a point here. The first 3 main covers of this series have been kind of samey. Okay, issue 1 might get a slight out here, it's a little brighter, but 2 and 3 look nearly identical. Yes, 2 is more stylized, while 3 seems to be an in-story moment, USP agents pointing guns at Ultraman. Though actually not only is this not a moment seen in the story, but from the way I understand Ultraman transforming, I'm not even sure that this is possible?
Get on with it!
Very stylized, artistic variant cover here, showing Ultraman doing his arm laser finishing move. The last cover, yep, only 3 variant covers, isn't that a nice change of pace? Is another photo from the show. And since we've seen this kaiju on another cover, I felt the need to look it up. This is Zeton, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, probably the strongest and most famous, besides the Godzilla reskin, of Ultraman's kaiju. This kaiju actually defeats Ultraman in the final episode, and is often recreated by enemies looking for the same kind of success. Last time on Ultraman, Shin agreed to merge with the Ultra to save both their lives and protect Earth, but demanded to be in the driver's seat. Meanwhile, Kiki and Captain Muramusu investigated USP stuff, finding the gigantic Project Starlight gun and a mysterious man who claims the USP messed everything up the first time Ultras came to Earth. Shin wakes up in the care of the USP, 2 scientists saying he's giving off a ton of energy. Though in fact, this is actually Director Ichino Tani and Specialist Mitsuhiro Ide, who would really like Shin to stop moving so he can do some tests. Shin leaps out of the bed to run away, but Ichino Tani points out that he's... Shin is told that he is at USP headquarters. They found him unconscious, and while they thought about taking him to a civilian hospital, this is a pretty unusual situation, so they decided to take him here instead. Shin asks where Kiki is, and Ichino Tani says they should speak more privately. Later, as we see that the tree from the lobby is simulated down through the base, Shin doesn't believe that Kiki left him there. The director says that she's been acting weirdly out of character lately, describing her breaking into the Project Starlight site and running away from her fellow agents. Kiki is officially AWOL now, absent without leave, and they plan to track her down. However, that is not even the pressing concern. They really want to know what happened with Shin and the alien. But as the director is talking, Shin sees the Ultra appear and starts speaking, advising Shin that if this man runs the agency that shot his ship down, he probably can't be trusted. Shin asks the director if he can see this, but he can't. Wisely, Shin quickly backs down, saying he's just had a couple of big days, and says his biggest concern is seeing Kiki again, So that better be their biggest concern too. They do have her accomplice, Captain Muramusu. They let Shin speak to him, and he's relieved Shin is okay after being the one to put a civilian in danger. He apologizes for making Shin shoot the alien, but Shin says he's still the one that did it. The captain wants to know what happened, but Shin tells him too that they first have to find Kiki. But he says he doesn't know where she went. Shin thinks that he's bluffing, begging him to tell him. Muramusu asks how much help he can be, and he says more than before, with a little flash reminding us of the Ultra inside. The captain trusts Shin, or, well, says that Kiki trusts Shin, but points out that the USP shot at them. Of course, they're being observed, so someone, probably a Chinotani, says they were warning shots, and he must know that they wouldn't have shot them directly. The captain isn't assuming anything, however. Shin says he knows that Kiki trusts him, so he can tell him alone where she is. He believes this and leans in for a squiggly, vertically lined whisper. At the clandestine home of Dr. Yamamoto, former redacted, Kiki asks the good doc what he meant by them perpetuating new evil. But the doc says there's no time for her questions, she has to answer his. Who knows you're here? What technology did USP take from the wreckage of this new craft? What are they planning to do with it?
What are you talking about?
Kiki says that nobody is going to make him do anything, and the eagle-eyed among you may have noticed something. The walls are dripping. That room over there is distorting. There's blood on the stairs, and behind them here, the walls seem to be shifting. So let's just make it official with a growl. As the two are attacked by a horned kaiju, Kiki pulling her blaster to fire back. And oh man, it actually looks like this isn't a kaiju, but a Kree! Back at USP, the director is pleased Shin has gotten the location and starts to wax on about being glad to finally work together. But Shin sees right through it. It was his dream to work with the USP, but they rejected him before. Now he's a beloved member of the team? A loving acceptance of your trauma. The director is confused, but Shin just says that a friend said it to him once. Shin says he still badly wants to be a part of the USP, but with Kiki being chased down and Muramusa locked up, they don't seem to be on the up and up. The director acknowledges that, but says to see it from his perspective. Kiki went AWOL, and even this guy has had an encounter with a hostile alien force. Shin says the alien force was not hostile. The director asks him to prove it by sharing his experience, so agents all over the world can learn just what it is that's going on here. The Ultra says he has a point. Fearful species tend to lash out at the Ultras, and if that is all the attack on him was, maybe they do deserve a second chance to learn about what's coming. Shin agrees to tell them everything, but first he wants a plane to go get Kiki alone and then get to the bottom of this. The director says that's asking a lot, but Shin holds firm. The director agrees to the jet, but has one condition. Shin's not going alone. Ichinotani is going with him. There's a little gag about how well he flies the VTOL, but really it flies itself. They land at the house, which has a tree growing all over it, probably a result of the kaiju field. The director has agreed to keep everyone away until he gets word, but gives Shin a USP pin. He hesitates to formally sign up, but it's just a communicator. This is a fun exchange. It's a radio? I always thought they were pins. Radio is ludicrously reductive, and the symbol on that pin represents a legacy of challenging the unknown. Right, a special radio. Sorry. The Ultra makes an interesting request, telling Shin not to use the K-Ray. Dealing with kaiju is never as simple as it seems, and they should really get to understand these guns better before using them.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
In the house, the distortion field is getting worse. Shin says it's time to go Ultra, and the Ultra brings up a tiny little problem there. Hasn't had the chance to mention it until just now. Their merger is imperfect, probably because of how hurt the Ultra was. Their bond is tenuous. The device the Ultra gave Shin last time is called a beta capsule and can activate their bond. However, the bond is unstable, so it will only last 3 minutes at a time. As Shin points out, that's not a bad length, but there's another problem. Bonding strains the connection, making it weaker every time. Eventually, the bond will break, tearing their essences apart, which will probably be fatal. But conveniently, the Ultra has a nice convenient cell phone-like meter showing the strength of their connection. The doctor suddenly wanders out, apparently having been wandering in his own house, which is warping around them, for hours, and not happy to see a USP pin, the second he's seen today. And now multiple kaiju are wrecking his house. Yeah, hearing that there's more than one, Shin calls in the cavalry. The first kaiju makes itself known, and Shin activates the beta capsule. A transformation like this can't help but lose a little something in still media. This is a fantastic poster shot, and yes, we have swirling energy to indicate a transformation, but I'd still just love to see this in motion. Then watch Ultraman, screams my audience. Then find me the time, the reviewer retorts. Shin thinks to himself how amazing this is, how much energy he has. And the Ultra agrees, because when they're merged, they can hear each other's thoughts. Shin finds that weird, but we probably have around 2.5 minutes left here, so time's a-wastin'. Shin gets thrown directly to where Kiki is, conveniently, fighting another of the kaiju. She takes this all in stride, telling Ultraman that the kaiju are like weeping angels from Doctor Who, able to move invisibly while not being directly observed. Shin thinks that they need to get Kiki out of there, but the Ultra says that's not going to help. The kaiju she's fighting has imprinted on her, much like a newborn animal, and can now track her and will be drawn to her. Kiki screams for Ultraman to watch behind him, and he whips around and decks the kaiju. Whoa. Shin wonders how he did that, and the Ultra explains that the merger basically allows them to look in 2 directions at once. Shin thinks, dang it, that these things aren't going anywhere and they need to wrap this up. The Ultra says they have a decisive strike, but can only do it once. Shin understands that means lining the 2 up and throws them together as the meter drops for the first time to 99.3%.
Is that a lot?
Well, Ultraman's famous arm laser drops it a good chunk more, down to 97%. The kaiju are vaporized and Shin powers down, for lack of a better term. Kiki can't believe it, but Shin has to get a hug in before he can explain things. The doctor was watching too. He says he can explain everything about 1966, Dan Moriboshi, and what the USP is hiding if they get him out of the house and past the USP agents. Shin does want to know what's going on, but says that he has to base things with the USP on a foundation of trust. The doctor says, okay, plan B it is. And straight up caps Kiki with a laser gun, probably a K-ray. Next time on Ultraman, the truth of the 1966 incident is within reach, but the final steps towards it will require breaking promises, crossing dimensional barriers, and witnessing true horror. And when the dust settles, the truth will come out. But that truth will sever bonds, shatter dreams, and leave our hero to fight alone. This was a great issue to finally jump into the action proper. That does make it feel a little plot lighter than the previous issues, but I love how they're setting up secret allegiances and confusion and misinformation and who do we trust, etc., etc., etc. Listen, Ichinotani is acting sus AF, but I just saw the doctor kill Kiki and then vent in the living room, so who knows who the imposter is? Anyway, The Rise of Ultraman issue number 3 gets a 4.5 out of 5. Next time on a comically long review, I'll get back to Power Rangers with Power Rangers. We've seen the first of this new reality of 2 Power Rangers ongoing series. Now it's time to take a look at the other one. How have the Omega Rangers been doing? And how might they react to everything that's been going on over on Earth? Find out when I take a look at Power Rangers number 1. That's going to do it for another comically long review. Thank you, heroes, so much as always for watching. Now that the video's done, you can let me know what you thought of this issue as well as my review of it down in the comments below. And while you're down there, make sure you smack that thumbs up button and let me know that you enjoyed this video. Until next time, heroes, may the power protect you. And Kiki has even tracked down the requisite nutcase hermit who knows everything about the conspiracy. Shin tells him, there it is. He apologizes for making, Kiki asks the good doc what he meant by them perpetrating but the finale, see? But the final, I don't know why it's finale. And while you're down there, make sure you smack that thumbs up.